Good, happy Monday evening, March 23rd, 2020. I'm Riley King, and welcome to the Riley King Newscast right here on the Riley King Network. We have a lot of news to get to this Monday evening, so let's begin. First up, one in New Hampshire dies of COVID-19, health officials say. Officials to discuss state's response to the spread of COVID-19. One person in New Hampshire has died from COVID-19, health officials announced Monday. The patient was a man over the age of 60 from Hillsborough County. He had multiple underlying health conditions, officials said. This is an unfortunate situation and one that we certainly want to try to avoid, said Dr. Benjamin Chan, the state epidemiologist. But we know that this virus can cause serious illness and even death in those who are more substantial to serious infection. Chan said 23 more people have been diagnosed with COVID-19 in New Hampshire and 11 have been hospitalized. Overall, 101 people have been diagnosed with the virus in the state. Governor Chris Sununu said he was limiting all gatherings to no more than 10 people, in accordance with guidelines from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. He urged Granite Staters to stay home whenever possible and continue to practice social distancing in an effort to slow the spread of the virus. He said anyone over the age of 60 and those with underlying medical conditions should stay home. He said more measures might have to be taken in the future, but he didn't announce any new restrictions. Chan said more than 2,400 people in the state have been tested and 870 tests are currently pending. He said most of the cases have been in people who have traveled or who had contact with someone known to be infected with COVID-19, but in some cases had no identified risk factors, indicating that community transmission of the virus was continuing. The state expects to triple its test capacity over the next 24 hours, which means the number of confirmed cases will also rise, Sununu said. State employment officials said they were working to process the wave of unemployment claims that have came in since the state allowed more people to file for benefits if they were financially affected by COVID-19. The state's unemployment website became unresponsive because of thousands of people who filed claims. Richard Levers, Deputy Commissioner of New Hampshire Employment Security, said 34,000 people registered for benefits, 10,000 through the unemployment system hotline at 603-271-7700. Levers said benefits for those who first filed should begin arriving by Wednesday. For any new claims, the expectation is payments will be made beginning 8 days from when the claim is filed, he said. Levers reminded those filing claims that they need to log again for each week of continued eligibility and file a continued claim. COVID-19 in New Hampshire. Let's take a look at the diagram and map. A 101 number of people in New Hampshire who have tested positive for COVID-19. 351,731 number of people worldwide who have tested positive. 1 number of deaths from COVID-19 in New Hampshire. 11 number of people hospitalized with COVID-19 in New Hampshire. 473 number of deaths from COVID-19 in the United States. 15 people in Grafton have it. 6 people in Carroll have it. 4 people in Belknap have it. 3 people in Stratford have it. 4 people in Merrimack have it. 1 person in Sylvan have it. 1 person in Chester has it. 16 in Hillsborough have it. And 28 in Rockingham have it. And 0 in Coos. New cases each day, as you can see. Daily new positive COVID-19 cases is in the purple, and the yellow is new hospitalized, and deaths in the red. Your common symptoms: fever, cough, and difficult breathing. How it spreads, and prevention tips. Unemployment in New Hampshire. Key information aimed coronavirus crisis. Tens of thousands of Granite Staters have applied for unemployment benefits that were expanded in March as part of the state's effort to slow the spread of COVID-19. How to apply? And right here is the information how you can apply. Who can apply? When will benefits arrive? Reoccurring benefits. Issues with the system. Officials warn of coronavirus scams. Granite Staters urge to report suspected scams. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9.
The New Hampshire Attorney General is asking all of us to report suspected coronavirus fraud scams. There have already been reports of fraudsters selling counterfeit products and fake cures in order to take advantage of people. If you encounter a possible scam, you're asked to report it to the National Center for Disaster Fraud by calling 1-866-720-5721 or emailing disaster@leo.gov.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Cruise ship with Rochester couple on board allowed to dock in Honolulu. Couple's daughter says passengers allowed to disembark after medical screening. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9.
A cruise ship that was turned away from multiple ports in recent days as in the midst of the coronavirus pandemic is now docked in Honolulu's harbor. The Norwegian Jewel was in the middle of a 3-week cruise in the Pacific when the coronavirus worsened and ports repeatedly denied the ship entry. Hawaii DOT officials say the ship has also been having problems with its propulsion. More than 2,000 passengers are on board and will now be allowed to disembark. And that is welcome news for one Rochester couple on board. News 9 spoke with the daughter of Bob and Cindy Jennis over the weekend when passengers were being told they would not be allowed to disembark in Hawaii. Heather Stover tells us her parents and the passengers have been told immigration officials will check them all for symptoms and they will then be allowed to take charter flights to Los Angeles. The Jennises are expected to fly out of Honolulu at 6 tonight and could be back home as early as Tuesday evening.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Coronavirus in Massachusetts, Monday, March 23rd, update. New cases, 131. Total cases, 777, and deaths, 9. Also, Massachusetts Governor Charlie Baker issued a stay-at-home advisory and will go in effect tomorrow until Tuesday, April 7th. And also, Massachusetts stay-at-home advisory, Tuesday, March 24th to Tuesday, April 7th. Residents urged to stay home. Avoid unnecessary travel and activity. Non-essential businesses work remotely. Limit gatherings to 10 or less. Essential services. These people in these categories can go to work and leave the house. Coronavirus cases in Maine increased to 107, according to Maine CDC. Let's take a listen to that video from WMTW News 8 Maine.
Okay, mother and child in vehicle. Mother's unable to exit the vehicle. Please call.
I ask that everyone go about their lives as if COVID-19 were already in your community.
Maine CDC Director Dr. Nirav Shah says he's living as if he has the virus, social distancing and staying inside as much as possible.
How you live your life today could affect the lives of others in your community tomorrow.
Because the virus's incubation period, the time between exposure and symptoms, is 2 to 16 days, Shaw says known cases, like the 6 confirmed at the Ocean View Retirement Community in Falmouth, are just the tip of the iceberg, and even Mainers seeking solitude need to be careful.
If they are traveling up to their camp and they don't feel well, regardless of where they are and regardless of where they came from, they stay inside and try to limit their exposure to others.
Shaw says Maine hospitals currently have 252 ventilators and 71 intensive care unit beds available if needed. And now, the Maine CDC is distributing 22,000 pieces of personal protective equipment, face masks, surgical masks and gowns, and gloves to medical providers, with more on the way from the federal stockpile. But Shaw says his lab is looking into an alternative reagent to complete testing because the key chemical compound made by healthcare company Roche is in short supply.
The faster that they can increase the production of all of these reagents, the more quickly that testing will be able to be rolled out on a national basis.
And when I asked Dr. Shaw if Maine had the purchasing power to jumpstart production of that needed reagent for testing, he said, unfortunately, no state does. Live in Portland, Phil Hirschkorn, WMTW News 8.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. And now let's take a look at that U.S. stock market and see how your U.S. stock market closed for this Monday evening. And that is a look at your U.S. stock market for all of you. Your Dow Jones Industrial Average closed in the red, went down. Your Nasdaq closed in the red, went down. S&P 500 closed in the red, went down. Gold closed in the green, went up. U.S. oil closed in the green, went up. U.S. 10-year closed flat. Euro/USD closed in the green, went up. And VIX closed in the red, went down. Dow sheds another 3% after coronavirus stimulus bill fails in Senate for a second time. Stocks fell sharply on Monday as U.S. lawmakers failed to push through massive financial settlement to curtail the economic blow from the coronavirus. Talks are ongoing, but investors believe the longer Washington waits, the greater the damage to the economy is. Coronavirus government response update. Senate Democrats block stimulus bill. Pelosi unveils new proposal. Here's how the federal government is rolling out its response to COVID-19. The novel coronavirus pandemic is spreading around the globe. In the United States, reaching more than 41,700 cases domestically and roughly 573 deaths. The federal government has been rolling out its response to the virus and efforts to stem the tide as well as to stimulate the economy, which has taken a severe hit. Here's the latest developments in the government response. It's day 8 of the White House's 15-day guidelines to slow the spread. Pence says CDC is issuing guidance regarding allowing people exposed to COVID-19 return to work sooner by wearing a mask. The Senate revenues on an economic settlement package with a test vote after increasing bitter negotiations. At least 3 members of Congress have tested positive for COVID-19. The White House Coronavirus Task Force is scheduled to give a briefing at 5:30 p.m. And that does it for my evening newscast right here on the Riley King Network. I hope you all have a great rest of your evening. And thank you for joining the Riley King newscast. And I'll see you back here tomorrow for another newscast. I'll have a news report coming up in a little bit. Good night and bye, everyone.